What's going on, everybody? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to yet another 2-minute lawn tip. So nice to have you guys here. Hope you guys are having a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're at. If you're watching this in the morning, make sure you got yourself a nice cup of black to go with that. Folks, today we are talking snow on the lawn. We are talking the good, the bad, the ugly, as well as a proactive measure or two you could take to ensure that your lawn recovers nice and strongly in the springtime. So snow on the lawn, what's good about it? What's good about having snow on the lawn is when you have a consistent blanket of 2 to 5, even 6 or 7 inches, if you will, across the entire thing for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to provide heat, right? It's going to keep the turf warm during this super cold time, right? As much as we like to brag about how our grass is cool season and how it thrives in cooler temperatures, that doesn't necessarily mean that when it's dormant, it's going to be strong, right? When your turf is dormant, it's susceptible. So having that cover over it is going to protect it, if you will, while it's in this vulnerable state. And this actually brings me to the second reason why having snow cover is beneficial, and that is because it helps prevent a process called desiccation, which means if you don't have that snow cover, what's going to happen is that cold winter wind that we all deal with is going to whip across your lawn and landscape and literally suck moisture from the foliage, which in turn will leave your plant drier than it was if it was covered, make it harder for your turf to recover come springtime. That's often why in the springtime you'll see some areas in the lawn that take a little bit longer to recover than others, solely because of the fact that maybe you have a couple of high spots in there where snow melts before others, and because of that, those areas will take a little bit longer to recover in the springtime, right? Nothing too crazy, nothing too serious. Just know that if you have a couple of areas in the lawn that take a little bit longer to recover, that is because the snow in those areas may be melted a little bit sooner, and because of that, those areas are going to take a little bit of extra TLC, if you will, to recover in the springtime. So nothing to be alarmed about. That's just something to be aware of, if you will. Now, where it gets bad to have snow on the lawn is when you have mounds and mounds and mounds of it. We're talking like feet upon feet upon feet, if you will, at the end of your driveway, which often comes from snow plows, right? This is bad for a couple of reasons. Number one, road salt accumulation, especially if it's coming from the snow plows, because as you guys know, in the subdivisions, we often have to use those rock salts, those highly concentrated rock salts, to melt all the ice on the street so it's safe for people to drive on, right? Well, that comes with an expense, because when all of that is pushed upon your lawn, especially when a storm comes through, that comes at an expense because all that road salt is then being accumulated in that pile of snow, which might not seem like a problem right now. But when that snow melts, you hold the risk of that road salt getting down into your soil and jacking things up with regards to the soil pH, right? So with that being in mind, I actually recommend, if you can, running your irrigation a little bit earlier than normal this year, watering 2 to 3 times a week, half inch each time, to wash that road salt through so it doesn't cause any further damage to your soil. And on top of that, another thing to be aware of is fungus, right? Snow mold is a big issue that comes from this, especially in areas where you have snow piled up in heavy amounts, because if you think about it, underneath that foot pile of snow, it is dark and it is damp, and because of that, that's a great breeding ground for fungus to take hold, specifically snow mold. Now, snow mold isn't something to be too concerned about. All you really have to do with it is just get out there with your rake it out in the springtime, get those blades standing up, if you will, to get airflow down into the soil. Because if there's one thing I say on this channel all the time, it's if you want to have a healthy lawn, you need to remember the fact that airflow is key. If you remember that, you get out, rake everything out in the spring, you will be all right. Now, if you're considering the use of road salt on your driveway, might I just recommend you check out this video right here that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I actually talked about choosing the right road salt, which in turn will not harm your lawn or any vegetation that is nearby the concrete in which you are treating. And on top of that, just getting something that's environmentally friendly, pet safe, and safe for your children as well.